Hello and welcome everybody to this live FC Bayern München training session on what is a cold winter's evening here in Munich at Straße. Waiting for the players to come out from the warmth of that changing room, but we're expecting them any moment now. There is Thomas Tuchel, our head coach. He will be overseeing everything as always ahead of the big game tomorrow at the Allianz Arena. Not necessarily in terms of its context in the season, but there is a bit of a milestone for Bayern to celebrate, as the game against Copenhagen will be the 100th European match that takes place at the Allianz Arena since it was opened back in 2006. Or 2005, excuse me. First game being against Club Brugge. There have been some big highlights in the mix over the years, and we're expecting many more to be made as well. Of course, the last home game in the Champions League secured Bayern's entry to the knockout stages as they continued their ongoing Champions League records. 17 straight group stage wins, 38 straight group stage games unbeaten. The records continue to be set by the German Rekordmeister, and fittingly as well. Men in white now out on the pitch. You can see that there's been quite a lot of snowfall in Munich over the last 48 hours or so. Heavy coating in the background, but players keeping warm. The training pitches well heated as well to make sure that they do have the ideal conditions to prepare even during the winter months. Floodlights on as well because the sun already starting to set, but everyone in good spirits, and why not? The only pressure on Bayern is the pressure they're going to apply on themselves, ultimately their own expectations. They've already wrapped up a group stage berth. They've already wrapped up top spots in Group A. Nevertheless, with those ongoing records, they will want to extend them for as long as possible and really send a signal of intent in the competition this season, because it's one, in terms of a title, they want to get their hands on once again, Bayern München. Into the knockout stages for the 16th straight season. But as Harry Kane put it after the win against Galatasaray last time out, they know that that's only half the job done, and that the big job is the one that lies ahead for them. Nevertheless, they do have games against Copenhagen and Manchester United still to play in Group A. The aim is to once again, for a third straight season, go through the group stages without dropping a single point. Last time out in the Bundesliga, a 1-0 win against Köln. The match winner, as he is proving so often to be, was a certain Mr. Harry Kane. His form is nothing short of incredible. Has already outscored the top, or the joint top scorers from the Bundesliga campaign last time out. Niklas Füllkrug and Christopher Nkunku getting 16 goals apiece. Harry Kane already on 18. That's also a single season record for an English player in Germany's top flight. Kevin Keegan and Jadon Sancho both had campaigns where they scored 17 goals, but Harry Kane, with just 12 games played in the Bundesliga season, already with 18 to his name. Not just that, if we're talking about the Champions League as well, he's scored 4 goals in his first 4 Champions League games for Bayern. That is the joint most by a player. Roy Mackay also scoring 4 goals in his first 4 Champions League games. But you've got to think he'll be itching to get his name on the score sheet again tomorrow, as he always is. See the snow still falling at Zebener Strasse. It was interesting to see who goes with what combination of outfits to stay warm. The eagle eye of you may already have noticed, but great to see Jamal Musiala back in first team training. He's been working hard on his comeback with individual training sessions. He's been working with a physio as well, independently, on his recovery. I think it'd be a surprise if we were to see him in the starting lineup tomorrow against Copenhagen, but nevertheless, good to see that that recovery is going well. And we could see him in the matchday squad. Because even if you can only get 10 minutes out of Jamal Musiala, they're normally 10 minutes that catch the eye. Leon Goretzka still sporting that cast as well on his left hand, though admittedly it's not as bandaged up as it was in recent weeks, so signs that he is also close to having that hand out of a cast, perhaps. Not that he's been overly limited in his performances if you watched them recently. As always, on these live streams, it's nice to know where in the world that you're tuning in from. Having a look at the Facebook chat as well, so do get in touch, let us know. Already I've got a hello from Vietnam. But we know that Bayern have a worldwide fan base, and we like to celebrate that fact as well in the moments that we get to. This isn't an open public training session, though admittedly I think you'd have had to be a very hard-headed Bayern fan to turn out in this type of weather. Nevertheless, it's enjoyable to get a look behind the scenes. As we say, we've got people tuning in from Trinidad and Tobago, from Cambodia. Always good to see. Konrad Laimer and Thomas Tuchel were the ones that faced the press earlier today. Laimer making the comment about the fact that just when you hear the Champions League anthem, when you can wear the Bayern shirt and play in the Allianz Arena, then there is always that feeling of wanting to win. Fact is, while Bayern have already wrapped up top spot in Group A, there is a lot to play for the other 3 teams in the group, including Copenhagen, who currently sit in second place, but level on points with Galatasaray. Galatasaray at home to Manchester United in the early kickoff tomorrow, which will give Copenhagen an idea of just how much pressure is on them to maybe upset the odds and produce a positive result against Bayern. Admittedly, Galatasaray, all of the Bayern players will attest to how difficult it was to get a result in that stadium for them. Remember Harry Kane talking about needing several hours for his ears just to recover from the amount of noise made and the amount of whistling done in that stadium. The fact is, though, Copenhagen may need a positive result. Bayern are not going to make it easy for them by any stretch of the imagination, because as stated earlier, they've got those records that they're wanting to extend. 17 group stage wins in a row, 38 group stage games unbeaten. Both ongoing Champions League records. So I've asked you to put in the chat where in the world you're tuning in from, of course. Also like to hear some scoreline predictions for tomorrow, so let me know what you think the score is going to be, who's going to be on the score sheet. And we'll see come around about 11 o'clock tomorrow. German time, of course, that is. Whether anyone hit the nail on the head. It's interesting to see that Thomas Tuchel didn't make any substitutions in the 1-0 win against Köln on the weekend that saw Bayern maintain their unbeaten start to the Bundesliga season. Still, they trail Xabi Alonso and Bayer Leverkusen, who turned 42 on the weekend and celebrated with another win in the Bundesliga. Him and his Leverkusen side equaling the record best ever start to a Bundesliga campaign. That was set by a certain Pep Guardiola and Bayern München back in the 2015-16 season. That is the only reason that Bayern are in second place in the Bundesliga right now, because in pretty much every other season, 32 points from the opening 12 games would have been plenty to top the table. 43 goals in 12 match days, also a Bundesliga record. I've got one prediction coming in already. I'm going to assume it's man-like Amino, and I hope I'm not really mispronouncing your first name if that is the case. But he says Harry Kane will score tomorrow. I'd like to hope he will, given the fact that he is in my fantasy team for the Champions League. And let's be honest, the way he's scoring goals right now, the rate he's scoring at, it is some of, if not the best form he's ever produced in his career. And he's had an incredible career, Harry Kane, and he's produced some incredible form over the course of that career, whether it be for Tottenham or England, or now for Bayern. The odds of him being on the score sheet are good. For now, we will leave it there for today's live stream. Tune in tomorrow for coverage of the game against Copenhagen on Bayern's web radio service, or the build-up on fcbayern.com as well. Thanks for joining us, albeit a short one. It's great to have you along. We'll hear from you again next time.